Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul, and I'm the best man. I've been awfully nervous about making this speech, and I've asked around for some advice. And the most common piece of advice that I've received is that the best man speech should last no longer than the groom does in bed. Cheers. Now, it's said that being asked to be the best man is like being asked to make love to the Queen. It's a great honour, but nobody really wants to do it. If there's anyone here this afternoon that feeling nervous, apprehensive and queasy about the thought of what lies ahead, it's probably because you've just got married to Scott Kerr. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you'll agree that Kelly, you look absolutely stunning today. And Scott, you scrub up no bad as well, sir. So before I get started on Scott, I'd like to take this opportunity to say that's how beautiful Kelly's bridesmaids, Megan and Jenna, look today. And I'd like to ask you to be upstanding for a toast. To the bridesmaids.
To the bridesmaids.
I'd like to start by telling you a little bit about how Scott and I met. It was back in 1989, Junior Green Primary School, Primary 3. I'd been in class for an hour or so when there was a knock at the door. In walked the headmaster, followed by the new kid, swaggering behind. Scott was introduced to the class, and we were asked if anyone would like to show him around. My hand shot up straight away, thinking, hey, this lad looks pretty cool. How wrong could that have been? Morning break shortly followed, and me and my newfound pal Scott headed out to the playground. What Scott didn't know was that previous to his arrival, Keith Marnello, one of Scott's ushers, and I had arranged to fight each other over what I can't remember. Now, I've never been much of a fighter, and I was taking a bit of a beating, more of a lover. Scott being Scott, he was having none of it, and he stepped. Oi, leave my mate alone. Followed by a couple of right hooks, and Keith was on the deck. Kerr picked me up, shook my hand, and we've been friends ever since. Now, is it just me, or does anyone else think Scott's got a bit of gawk ran about him? Yep, he's a real fashion icon. Scott, you probably don't know this, but I've always idolised the way you've dressed over the years. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to share one particular outfit with you. We start with the tight leather effect trousers. These haven't always been tight, but over the years, Scott's enjoyed a bacon roll-up too. We then move on to the Armani leather effect shirt, followed by the famous black leather jacket. Is it just me, or does anyone else think Scott's got a bit of leather fetish?
Hasselhoff in disguise.
Anyway, there's only one item that I could top this up with. That's being Scott's pride and joy, the blue tinted shades. Scott Kerr, ladies and gentlemen, the Beckham of Avon. It's pretty clear that Kelly fell for his personality and not his dress sense. It's good that Scott's here celebrating his wedding with us all today. This is because we have a special week for Scott for another reason. The Paralympics. The Olympics. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know, Scott was quite the swimmer back in the day. Yep, even being compared to Michael Phelps. Although these days in the pool, he'd be more likely to be compared to Vanessa Phelps. Now, Scott took great pleasure in telling everyone at my wedding last year that I couldn't swim, and that he was very envious of my footballing skills. And to be fair, who wouldn't be? Anyway, enough about me, back to Scott swimming. I have a memento on Scott swimming from swimming days that Fiona and Alan kindly lent me, and I have this to share with you today. Scott swimming trunks from the age of 17, I think it was, Scott. If you're lucky, Kelly, Scott might nibble these later tonight. Now, Scott, I bet you hope I wasn't going to mention this, but it has to be said. The famous stag do in Amsterdam. For those of you who don't know the story, somehow Scott managed to ditch us all at the airport and catch a flight all by himself. So I had the full day to do as he pleased in Amsterdam. Sorry, Fiona. Now, most people, including me, they've probably found a hotel and hung around there waiting on the lads to arrive. Not Scott. It was party time. He went to a few bars, and 20 or so pints later, he found himself in one particular bar, the Blue Oyster, I think it was, and Scott went to leave. He propped himself up at the bar and proceeded to order his next drink. Now, Scott being Scott, he got chatting to a Dutch guy sitting next to him. A couple of hours passed, and Scott and his newfound friend had now had a skinful and become quite friendly. Maybe a little too friendly. Being a little worse for wear, Scott could now barely speak. And his memories of this night from this point remain a little hazy. But the next twist in this conversation will stick with Scott for the rest of his life. As his newfound friend was gazing into Scott's eyes, Scott found himself facing a question he never thought he'd be asked. Gay sex, yes? Gay sex, yes? Now, Scott was a little taken aback by this. Yeah, they were getting on, having a laugh. But hey, it was only their first date. Later events of this night remain a mystery. However, me and the lads can confirm that Scott was a little sheepish the following day and was walking with the famous John Wayne swagger. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to leave this lovely thought in your heads. And again, ask if you'd be upstanding if you're able to join me in our toast. The new Mr. and Mrs. Kerr.